All right, hello. Welcome back to episode 13 of Trash Talkin.
I'm Reg.
I'm Ian. Today we lock in on the NFC North, specifically the Detroit Lions, because we have our resident Lions fan on. And by resident, I mean the only one we could find anywhere. There's not many of them out there besides John Law, and Nate Truant. And so we decided to, I asked him, I said, I guess we'll do the Lions because we'll never, ever have another chance to do the Lions unless we somehow make it back to the NFC.
Were they fans when they were 0-17?
Oh, he was.
They were.
He won
I
through.
want to make sure.
I'll give Nate credit before I yell at him for the next hour.
John Law too.
Nate, make sure.
I remember Nate texting me after the Cowboys-Lions divisional round where we got away with the pass interference.
Yes, we did. I'll admit it now, Nate.
I don't care. We got away with it. But we're going to talk to Nate today. It's going to be just like the lunch table where there's fights and there are arguments. And we tried to get Thomas, the non-Packers fan, to go against Nate to debate a little bit, but he could not come on. So we will keep Nate in check. Bubba texted me. Thomas texted me before this, said, keep Nate in check for me. Don't let him get away with any foolishness. So I am not going to let him get away with any foolishness. We're going to bring Nate on.
How's it going?
What's going on, Nate? Nice shirt. Very nice shirt. Well, I don't think you're going to be as proud of that shirt once we get finished all today. We're going to probably bring down your Lions pride a little more. I definitely will. You might be a little nicer, but my gloves are completely off when you come on. So we're going to give it to you a little bit.
I get the jealousy. Don't worry. I get it.
Get the jealousy. All right. Well, then let's just jump into it. I'm going to ask you first. Jared Goff just got paid $53 million a year. A lot of people talking about whether it's a good move or a bad move. What do you think about it?
Money-wise, it's a bad move. For the Lions, it's a good move. It's a quarterback-starved league. I have a team that hasn't had a quarterback in 8 years. There's a lot of us like that would kill to have a guy who's, to me, Jared Goff is exactly like Matthew Stafford. They went younger than Matthew Stafford. He had injuries. He's pretty consistent. He's had 30 touchdowns the last couple of years. He's pretty good with the ball. Yeah, he has a good offense around him. He can win games for you, but realistically, we're paying these guys $3 million a game, $750,000 a quarter to win at football. If I was younger, I would play one game as a quarterback, retire, and never work again the rest of my life. Like I would just call it up. But, to me, $53 million a year is a little overboard. I could see paying these guys $40 million a year, but Daniel Jones sort of ruined it for everybody. I think he's a lot better than Daniel Jones. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he'll get you to the playoffs. I think if the DBs that they drafted, I think are really good. If they can get their defense better, I think with a healthy Laporta and the receivers and the running backs they have, he is a good fit for that team. He doesn't try and do too much. He's not asked to go crazy and win games, but he can definitely win games. $53 million, I think, is a little much, Nate. But you know what? You got to be thankful for what you have because there's a lot of bad quarterbacking in the league, and they have a young team. So if you want to win, which they showed last year, you got to do it now.
All right, Nate, what do you think? I think I already know what you think, but what do you think?
Well, in my opinion, this one was a no-brainer. You know what? Everybody is going to see a new contract and call it an overpay. Second highest paid. And if you want to look at it from that way, like he's not the second best quarterback in the NFL, but it's like, what's the alternative here? It's like the Lions have a good enough roster where they're probably not going to be picking in the top 10 for a few years. And we just saw 6 quarterbacks go in 12 picks. That shows how scarce a good quarterback is, and that for them to even pan out too. Or the alternative is free agency. Oh, maybe Dak's a free agent and he's still going to be getting all this money. And it just Goff's our guy. We have had a top 5 offense 2 years in a row. Like at the end of the day, it's a lot of money, but you're buying wins and buying points. And if you got a guy can produce in the system, not great outdoors, but 2 outdoors games, and everybody's building stadiums these days. So I'm not worried one bit. It's a great move.
And the money they're going to save this year, because they're not going to have a punter or a field goal kicker. So that extra money they're saving on those 2 players, they can afford to pay the quarterbacks and the receivers now. So now, they're going to go for 2 every time, and there's 4th down from wherever they are. So you don't have to worry about paying those guys.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, you definitely didn't need the kicker in the NFC Championship game. You could have went without that salary. But you're right. Me and you have fought a little bit about it, but you're right because it's necessary. but it also sucks a little bit because Goff is like Tua. He's like 45 million. I'd say 43 to 48 is where I would, because paying Jared Goff $53 million, like paying an ordinary chef to flip burgers at McDonald's $53 million. Like Brock Purdy can do it. Jared Goff's doing in that system. Put Dak Prescott in that system. Put Tua in that system. But I don't think if you needed someone like a real good chef like Gordon Ramsay, you're not taking Jared Goff. Jared Goff is playing. Jared Goff's going to throw it to the right guy. He's very good in your system. It's just $53 million.
He's right. There's no one else.
I agree.
You're going to pay the same.
I said this to you a couple years ago, and I feel like a hypocrite because 3 years ago when Matthew Stafford got traded and you guys got Goff back, I said, hands down, you won the trade. You got a young, good quarterback, and you got first-round picks. But now here I am 3 years later saying he's not worth $53 million. And I know that's the market, and I get it. It sucks. But he's not supposed to be the second highest paid quarterback. Market is great. Like, Dak's going to be the highest paid quarterback. You screwed us. So Dak's going to be the highest paid. He's going to be a $60 million quarterback in a year or a couple weeks. It's going to be in between that phase. But to me, yeah, I get it. Market resets, but Mahomes resets market. Allen, Lamar, even Dak, guys that change the game. I don't think Goff changes the game. I think he goes along with Bryant with your game plan. I think he can play very good within it, but I don't think he's going to change it for you guys.
And honestly, I don't have a problem with him changing it at all because he showed us, I mean, despite, NFC Championship, our only consistent unit the entire playoff run, it was quarterback. Yeah. Goff was not turning over the ball. When we started fumbling, dropping passes, our corners look like bad news bears out there. Like, Goff was the only one working for us. And you say, oh, everybody could be good in this system. But that's the thing, though, about the NFL is not everybody has that luxury to get the good system quarterback. So, when you got him, you got to pay him, especially with this team. And it's the problem.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But it's like you got to pay for good players at the end of the day. Like, Lions have been super cheap in free agency, and so they can bring guys back. Like, they just brought it back. Sewell, Amon-Ra, and huge deals. And it's like you can't put your money everywhere,
The problem with the NFL is, and it's going to head to this point, is there's going to be 20 quarterbacks who have won nothing in their lifetime who are going to be getting $35 million and up, and they've accomplished nothing, which if you watch any show, all these guys, Stephen A. Smith, they haven't won nothing. They haven't won nothing. Well, all these guys are getting $40, $50 million, and they're only getting it because the last guy signed a contract. They're not getting it because they've won. They're getting it because the last guy signed a contract. And I think that's going to bite the NFL eventually because with a receiver and a quarterback, you're going to be paying about $70 to $75 million out of the $250 million cap. So a lot of guys are going to be making $250,000, $300, or the minimum wage, which is $400,000. And it's just going to make for uneven on teams.
Well, when you think about it, if things go as people are reporting it, the Cowboys could be paying $60 million for a quarterback and I'd probably say $27 million for CD per year. That'll be 87 players. So it is getting a little wild. That's why when I saw the Goff, like, you had to extend Goff. 53 just felt weird to me. It was like, because the way market works, Tua's going to get more than that now because Tua's going to want more than that. Tua's going to say, look what I just said last year. We have one of the best offenses. I have one of the best passer ratings. I don't even want to know what Dak's going to get. Today he said he doesn't care about the money, but he's going to want $60 million anyways.
Can you imagine $60 million? He's never won a Super Bowl.
To throw, he's never won an NFC. He's never won a divisional round. He's never won a divisional round. I love the guy.
Can you imagine your own job if you fail that and get paid really well?
Dak Prescott was in Jared Goff's skin and he was in the Sean McVay system and had to score one touchdown on the way to that Super Bowl, Dak would have the same credibility. So I don't look at Goff and go playoff success. Okay, I got to give it to him. He made it to the Super Bowl. I don't care if you made it to a Super Bowl when you had one touchdown total in that playoff run. Goff has been very good. You guys got to the NFC Championship game, and I'll give it all to you because before the season, I made fun of you for saying you guys could win the division, and you won the division. And you not only did that, you were the furthest team out of all of us. But just for a game manager, like Brock Purdy's going to cash in after that. Brock Purdy, when his contract
done more than all these other guys.
He's going to look at Goff. He's going to say, well, I've been to an NFC Championship game. I almost won the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. I went to overtime.
He would have been to another Super Bowl if he didn't get hurt.
When Brock Purdy left the field, they were winning. Brock Purdy did not lose the Super Bowl. He was winning when he left the field.
What does Mahomes make?
What's he now? Because he's
50, but there's some restructures on
he's
there.
50, but it's like a huge. It's backloaded. And even then, you can restructure it even more, so it doesn't feel like that much. That's why they've been able to do what they've done. But I think it's weird. I think it's a weird number, but I think it's necessary to re-sign Goff because good quarterbacks don't.
You're right. They had no choice, Nate.
I just don't see a world where we do anything else. Maybe we end up rolling with Hendon Hooker, but it's like, could you imagine how much the NFL would just go crazy on the Lions if we let him walk in this amazing offense that we had in this like upcoming team with so much energy, just couldn't get it to. How many teams do we say is a quarterback away? You as a Broncos fan.
I'm telling you, be thankful for what you got, because what you end up doing is you just keep up trying and making wrong choices where you have somebody, keep them, develop them. And you guys were smart. You got rid of Stafford. He was hurt. You got a younger player and you got draft picks in. It was a great trade that you guys made.
I think it was a genius trade. We got 2 first-round picks and everybody's counting Goff out, basically a throwaway saying, eat this guy's contract. And look who just got a second one. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. On that note, we will move to the next topic. Is the division a lock for the Lions? The NFC North is a pretty tough division, especially with the Vikings. Now they've got their new quarterback. The Packers coming off a really promising one playoff game. Obviously, maybe was the Packers, was the Cowboys, and the Bears have obviously retooled completely their offense. But is the division a lock for the Lions?
Oh no, not by far. This division is so even that the winner is going to – I can't see anybody being more than 11-6, 10-7, maybe winning the division. You realize they have 6 tough divisional games. They play the AFC South, so you got Houston, you got Indy, you got Jacksonville, and they play the NFC West, where you got San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams. I mean, they have a tough schedule. Detroit, because they finished first, they play at Dallas, and they got Buffalo at home. So sometimes finishing first, you get the harder schedule. It might help Green Bay a little bit, even though they have similar schedules. I think Detroit and Green Bay are neck and neck. I could see 10-7, 11-6 for sure will win that division. I think Green Bay is only going to get better. And if Detroit, they drafted that Terran Arnold, who's a good DB, they drafted another defensive back. If their defense steps up a little bit, their offense will always score around 24, 27 points a game. They're never out of a game. If their defense can step up and win a game or two or keep the team under 20 points, they're going to have a lot of chances. And Green Bay is just full of weapons that are all young, and they have a lot of room in the salary cap. They're only going to get better, and they're going to have to pay Jordan Love. I think the Vikings are a wild card because they have a very good coach. And if any quarterback in that team can do half decent this year, they'll win 8 or 9 games. Again, they're going to be tough. And if they do very bad, you'll see Jefferson crying. And I think maybe they'll trade him before the end of the year because they won't want to have a bad team and have to pay him $30 million a year. And I think the Bears are easily an 8-9 win team. And they're going to, the division games are always rivalries anyway. So to me, I don't think anything is a sure shot. I think Detroit and Green Bay are so equal that, they play each other twice. If anybody beats them, goes 2-0 in those games, I think that'll be huge. Again, the NFC has the extra home game, so it actually, it's a little bit of a bonus. But to me, you guys in Green Bay are on the ups. And I think Minnesota maybe a little bit down, Chicago on the up. So I could see you guys 10-7, 11-6 fighting for the division. What do you think?
I agree, honestly. I think the Bears, I think they're not there yet. I'm scared of them one day, but they're, the great defense, probably a top 10 defense. But do we think Caleb Williams, if anybody's going to come out and guns a-blazing right away, it's going to be Caleb Williams. But I just don't see a world where it's going to be 11 games to win this division at least. And I just don't see that happening. And then we got Minnesota, they're in this middle ground. Is it towards a rebuild or towards a push? And they're just kind of in this middle spot that I don't see it going well for them. Especially, I think their defense is very overrated.
Yeah.
And we got the Packers. Packers very young, very good, but I think if you want to go head for head, Packer Lions, I just see way more superstars on Detroit. And PFF we saw posted the other day. It was like their top 25, under 25. Yeah. 0 Bears, 0 Vikings, 0 Packers, and 5 Lions. Yeah. So I think, obviously it's very important to be young, and the Packers will improve and progress, but I don't think they're in the same boat as the Lions, honestly.
And I think the other teams are going to be on your coach And they're going to be waiting for the fake punts. They're going to be waiting for the trick plays. So he's going to have to sort of change his style because now these other teams have had a year to watch. And maybe they think, maybe he's rubbing it in. Maybe he's coaching a different way. So I think they're going to have sort of a bullet on their back because teams are going to be on to them. So I think it's going to be harder for them to duplicate what they did. But I do think they're definitely a 10-win team, probably 11, like you said.
Yeah, I agree totally.
The Lions have a high ceiling. I don't usually, I usually kind of put you guys down a little bit because you start talking once it comes to August, early September, you start really running it. But I think the Lions.
I've been here listening to these two.
You start really running your mouth around September and it starts to get annoying.
Sunday football, these two going on their phone. Oh.
But I like the Lions because of you. I've kind of had to not like them. But I think the Lions are as close to a lock as possible in that division because when you look at the Packers and you look at, I know it is his sophomore year, but I know he sat Jordan Love a couple years. Baker Mayfield, after that first great year, sophomore slump. Dak Prescott was an MVP candidate in 2016. He was terrible in 2017. You see people in their second year starting, other than Mahomes, who's an anomaly, kind of get figured out a little bit. And Jordan, we forget about the Packers. The Packers went on a run last year. I remember texting in our group chat, Thomas, after the Giants-Packer game, going, but she ended up biting me in the butt. But I said, "Oh, you wanted to play the Cowboys in the first round. It looks like you're not even going to make it there."
I know.
And then they beat us 48-27 or 48-32. And so, yeah, that sucked. But I just think they went on a run last year. There was a lot of moments where Jordan Love looked horrible.
We did beat him, by the way.
Yeah, you even beat him.
We beat him.
You even beat him.
The Giants before they got on the roll. Yeah.
The Giants beat him. They really were very mediocre for a lot of the year.
I just think they're so well coached.
They are. Matt LaFleur's a great coach. I think Jordan Love, when Jordan Love was drafted, I told Thomas to calm down. I know you wanted a receiver. I know you wanted something to help you now. Jordan Love's going to be great in the future. But I think we're going a little too far in a 9-8 team. Maybe Dallas just did what they always do in the playoffs. Maybe we just imploded. Jordan, when you watch that game, Jordan Love was throwing wide open players. We weren't anywhere. Dan Quinn was already on the bus.
Coaching though.
Dan Quinn already was ready to go. Dan Quinn didn't care. Dan Quinn, I don't even know if he was in the box. He just put out the paper and told him to run the play.
That's the difference between LaFleur and McCarthy.
McCarthy
couldn't win in Green Bay. McCarthy's had great quarterbacks his whole career, and he can't get the job done where other coaches will.
So I think the Packers just took advantage. And we and you were talking about this 2 days ago, of a team that for some reason is scared to make any mistake when they go into the playoffs, and the Cowboys was shaky. I think the Packers took advantage of that. They played great against the Niners. They were running a heater, but they looked really bad for a lot of the season. I'm not saying they are bad. I really like Jordan Love. I really like the young pieces. I think we got a slower roll on the Packers. People got them going, 11-6, winning the division. Jordan Love, an MVP candidate. I don't have that. I think they're going to progress like they should.
If they can stay hot, then I don't know, were they hot or are they just good? But in all their wins, I was honestly astonished watching Packers football. Everybody is wide open. I know Love is obviously great and probably a sophomore, a starter slump is inevitable. But every throw, it's just a guy is wide open. It's it's not even a coverage mistake. It's just the scheme's incredible.
You know what it is? And if you watch the Dallas game, he coached them so bad that he had the Dallas DB swaying one way and guys sneaking out the other way. It was just the coaching was unbelievable. If you watch it, and he had Micah Parsons not even in the game because he coached around Micah Parsons to not give him a chance to disrupt the game.
You guys bring back bad memories.
It kind of sucks. It sucks. But that's the difference between McCarthy and LaFleur is that McCarthy wrote off two great quarterbacks. I think he had Favre for a little bit too.
Yeah.
But LaFleur has made Jordan Love progress 1,000 times better than he should have already. His first year, you saw the progression from Thanksgiving. I was watching that game in school thinking about you. Jordan Love was dicing up the line.
When they came back.
And that's when they started kind of moving, and you could see Jordan Love's progression. That's coaching. So I think Jordan Love is great. I think the Packers will be good. Again, 9-8, 10-7 is their max for me this year. Me and Bart have thought about this many times. I don't think the Vikings are anywhere near where a lot of people think they are. I think J.J. McCarthy will do good in Kevin O'Connell's system. You have great weapons. Then you look at the defense. You got rid of Danielle Hunter. The corners are better than they were a couple years ago when cupboards were bare. and it felt like I could go out and try out for the team. But I like Dallas Turner on the edge, but you're not going to get a bunch you're not going to get Will Anderson, Micah Parsons in every draft. Edge rushers also have to work into the league. They have 7-8 weeks by the time they get into game shape. I don't think the Vikings are that good. I think McCarthy could be good, a lot better than other people think he is, but I don't think they're that good.
I will say Justin Jefferson will be asking for a trade by middle of October. If they start out slow and they're 2-5 or 2-6, he's going to say, you know what? And if I'm Minnesota and you're going nowhere and you can get draft picks for him,
yeah, I would too.
No, I think the Vikings are honestly being very overrated. Like, I just look at that roster and I don't see any star positional unit other than like the receivers and the tight end. Honestly,
their defense is
Aaron Jones. That guy's probably gonna have a hamstring issue by week 4, so I'm not worried.
Everyone's kind of overrating that signing. Like, Aaron Jones is always healthy. He's never healthy.
I forgot to say that.
I think he's probably a top 7 running back. I think he's incredible.
I love Green Bay picking up Josh Jacobs.
Awesome.
I hate Josh Jacobs because he was a Raider, but I'm telling you, that guy is good, and that's a great pickup for him.
Him and McKinney were great pickups. Yeah. They did a really good job. I would have loved to. They did a really good job in the offseason. You still have to give these guys room. You have to give them time. Jordan Love needs time. He's still young. So I think we got to hold up on the Packers. The Bears are the team I'm the highest on in that division, and I could look really stupid because I've been saying it to you guys too. In a year's time, I could look really dumb, but I don't want to say it, but I think the Bears could shock everybody and be like a team that's in the divisional round or the conference championship. I really do. I love Caleb so much.
Yeah, great story.
It's their coaching that worries me.
But
I'm worried about coaching, and I think we see a pattern with first-year rookie quarterbacks in a bad O-line. But
the O-line's gotten better.
Well, first year, I'm going to be honest.
But the O-line's gotten a lot better. Like Darnell Wright on the right side, he's been great. He was really good in his first season. He's going to keep getting better. The O-line's not there, but it's getting a lot better. The defense looked great last year, and I made fun of them for picking up Montez Sweat for a second-round pick. Caleb Williams is different than every other rookie quarterback we've seen since, I think, Andrew Luck. He's different than Bryce Young last year. I love Caleb. I fell in love with him after the Texas-Ohio State game. I watched every game he played for the rest of his career. He carried battle lines. He carried mediocre weapons. I think he's great.
And he had to score 45 points in college because USC had no defense, so they had to score. And he was coached well in college as well.
And look at the weapons they did something that no one else does. They knew who they were picking first overall, and they said, "Let's go get Keenan Allen. We already have DJ Moore. I didn't even think this was happening. Let's draft Rome Odunze." I love what they've done. I think they could be better than the Packers. Don't tell Bubba. I think they could be better than the Packers and the Vikings. I think they could be a second in that division. I really do. I think that team could shock everyone.
I don't see a world where they win the North, but if there's ever a way to building a dynasty, I'd say year 1, they're doing it right for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, they're definitely on their way up.
You don't see a number 1 overall pick coming to a position like this. Like,
I don't know the last time it was.
Poor Bryce Young. These receivers got they're one of the lowest in separation rate, and then now you got Caleb Williams with former All-Pro stars.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
A little less for you, since you're in the division, but I will enjoy watching the Bears. Hopefully beat the Lions a little bit. All right, let's go to our last topic, which we've kind of touched on a little bit. I think this one could be the lengthy topic. Do we expect regression or progression from a young Packers team this year? What do you think?
I don't see regression. I can see progression. They had a lot of injuries too on defense last year. If they keep guys like Rashawn Gary and them, if they can keep them upright, those young receivers are dynamite. I think maybe they were a little scared playing with Aaron Rodgers because if you make a mistake with Rodgers, you'll never see the ball again. I think they were kind of a little bit uptight playing with a guy like that. I think they've drafted well. And again, we harped on the coach. He's 59-31 as a head coach. I think they have one of the best home field advantages. I think they can take advantage of that. I can't see them going any worse. I could see them, again, like you said, 10-7, going up a win. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were at the beginning of the year last year. I think that it took time to progress. I think, again, their schedule's just as bad. The division games, they're always a war of those teams. They always play each other tough. I don't see a progression coming. To me, 10-7, possibly 11-6. I'd say that'd be on the upswing, but I think they're definitely better than they were last year. And I think and I hope Jordan Love doesn't go backwards. I think he's only going to get better. I think he's paid his due. And I think with the coaching that he's not going to regress.
What do you think?
Honestly, I could very well see Jordan Love breakout. I wouldn't be surprised. We saw the same with Rodgers, and it's like this is just a winning culture in Green Bay. They know exactly how to pick the right quarterback and how to make them good. I definitely, and obviously a very young team. I think sometimes that like potential and age gets a little overrated in the NFL because it's not always going to translate to wins like we think it will, because you can only have potential for so long. But with that being said, it's still a very young roster. I'd like to see one of the receivers step up because Watson can't stay healthy and seems like they kind of struggle to find a one. I think personally Wicks is going to step up this year, but I'm not really sure. But if somebody in the receiving core can step up and these young guys just progress like they are, I could see definitely a 10-win season, 11 wins.
I don't see any regression as much as I've hated on the Packers for this whole podcast episode, I think. But it is nice seeing kind of having validation of Jordan Love doing well, because I remember everyone telling me Aaron Rodgers, we can't trade Aaron Rodgers. He's an MVP. And 3 years ago, I was saying, you just got to get rid of him. And they could have had your 3 first-round picks and Jerry Jeudy. That was the package. That's just take it. He's a headache. He's going to leave you at some point anyways. He finally did. It's nice to see Jordan Love do well because I really was rooting for him after. I think Aaron Rodgers, we won't get into it. I hate his attitude. I hate his mentality. But I like seeing Jordan Love do well. I don't see anybody regressing on that team because the one guy I like the most, and I like Wicks, but I like Jaden Reed the most because he can do everything. The way they motion him, he's such a hard matchup for anybody. All those guys ate us up, so it was hard watching that. But they don't have a one. I thought Watson was going to be the clear one when they drafted him. I thought he was going to turn into this beast. I know he's not as big as Mike Evans, but that was my comp for him. Someone who can just stretch the field, someone who can go up and get a ball. I love Christian Watson in the draft. He didn't end up being yet, at least, what I thought he was going to be. But Watson, Dobbs, Wicks, and Jaden Reed. That's really, really good core, but none of them are ones. They're all twos. They can turn into ones. Dobbs looked like a one against us. But
what happened with Christian Watson? He dropped the first pass of the year, a bomb by Aaron Rodgers, and he didn't see the ball again for a while because Rodgers was mad at him. Meanwhile, he dropped one pass, probably cost him the game or whatever, and then he progressed after.
But that's the thing. Like, you ruined 1 year of progression with all those like Dobbs and Watson because Rodgers was not in this mode to mentor these young guys. Obviously, he was win now. Obviously, he's very, he's an old man in a 39-year-old's body. He's like a get off my lawn type of guy in the locker room, it feels like. But Jordan Love, having these guys all together, you saw the progression in 1 year. They're going to progress next year. What were they, 9-8? I can see them going up. Again, it's not going to be anything crazy like some people think, like 3-4 wins. I can see 1 to 2 wins. Josh Jacobs is a great run game option. I think McKinney was their best pickup because it shores up their secondary. People forget Jair Alexander is a top 3 cornerback. Rashawn Gary, when healthy, is one of the best edge rushers.
He gets hurt.
So, he gets hurt a lot. So when healthy, and Quay Walker's a great linebacker, has been pretty underrated. Yeah. He's weird. Like, he makes a lot of stupid moves, and he gets kicked out of games a lot. He's a great player. I remember that against the Lions when he pushed your trainer. We were all together watching that. I was like, what are you doing? That makes no sense.
Oh, that was awesome.
My problem with the Vikings is if you weren't going to re-sign Kirk Cousins, then blow the whole team up. That proves you don't want to win now because who they were going to get in the draft wasn't going to compare to Cousins. So, you know what? If you didn't want to sign Cousins, spend the money, trade Justin Jefferson right away. Start rebuilding because you don't want to be a team that always finishes 7-10, 6-11, 8-9. Those are the worst teams you can be. If you're not going to try and win and don't want Cousins, blow the team up. Start drafting better and just get draft picks. And
I do think they had a great draft, but I don't think that's going to make – or a great first round. I think the draft was pretty overrated, but I think the first round was awesome. They got the best defensive player, not a quarterback, and we'll see what he does. He can throw the football.
Definitely a very overrated draft from the Vikings.
Yeah, he
obviously one superstar can change a team, but it's very unlikely they got their superstar. I think McCarthy is just a glorified game manager.
Yeah, you have a point. I think McCarthy could be anything. That's the worst part about drafting him is I don't think McCarthy. I think we're overrating and underrating McCarthy.
I didn't want him. I was so glad he was gone.
I don't really. It's weird though. It's like we see a guy like Richardson, a raw prospect with huge arm talent, huge rushing ability, but didn't play a whole lot. So we said, oh, he's got potential. But with McCarthy, it's like this guy threw 12 times a game. Like
Exactly.
you
It's
don't
funny
even know
how
what
they,
his arm is like or what anything about him.
they cut
I'm
up
not
Caleb
personally-
Williams. All these guys on TV cutting up Caleb Williams. He had to throw the ball 50 times. McCarthy, they ran the ball 50 times. They had the best running back and best defense. He didn't have to throw the ball to win the game. You know, they made it go like going the championship game and the playoffs games. He did this, he did that. Well, guess what? He didn't play against the best teams either.
Yeah, everything honestly for McCarthy, it was a one-read system, you know, credible team, incredible O-line. Your running backs were getting 6 yards every time they touched the ball. And I don't know, I think he's definitely in for a rude awakening. You know, he's got obviously a great receiving core and the best receiver in football to deal with, but no, I think he might get hit like a truck.
His old coach, he pumped them up so teams would take him. Harbaugh, he was pumping them up, and so that way, you know, he'd get higher in the draft, which I didn't believe he should be a top 10 quarterback anyway. I thought Penix was way better than him.
Yeah.
And they were bumping him up, pumping him up, and it was his old coach, Harbaugh, who's now with the Chargers, who was pumping him up.
I think this is the best situation for McCarthy out of all the teams that could have drafted him, though. You have Christian Darrishaw's all-pro tackle. You have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. You have TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Jones for the 7 games he gives you. But I think it's the best position for him. If he's going to do well, it would have been Minnesota.
Just
But
pay Cousins. Like
I wouldn't have paid
Corey's
Cousins
going
anything.
With God. Like,
I wouldn't have
we
paid
just had
Cousins.
that conversation.
Yeah.
That's what Minnesota should have done.
I wouldn't have paid Cousins more than $30 million, and he wanted $40. He coming off
Sure.
an Achilles tear.
Quarterback too.
Coming off an Achilles tear, and he's 35 years old.
I completely agree with not signing Cousins. I mean, yeah, I guess you can see it both ways, but they signed for that much. It's not like the Vikings are just in cap haven. Like they're running it close.
Yeah.
And that leaves no room to improve that defense.
But then you got to do what my brother said and blow it up. You either do one or the other.
Yeah, I agree. But
it feels like a retool, and it feels like they could completely succeed in that retool. If JJ
I don't think
McCarthy
they need to rebuild at all. I think they're like maybe a year or away. Maybe
I think it's like you know, so some teams like the Bears had to do it. You guys had to do it, where you have to
We
completely.
should have did it years
You guys
ago.
should have done it.
Should have did it years
The
ago.
Saints
We
should have
did.
done it. You rebuild the team, but I don't think the Vikings were in that spot where it's like, oh, the cupboards are bare. Yeah, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, decent O-line. I know you got rid of Danielle Hunter, but you have it. You have the pieces.
Great.
I think they have a 1 to 2 year retool period, not like a 5 to 6 year Houston Texans type rebuild. I think they could actually, if they hit on McCarthy and they see whatever and it works, I think 1 to 2 years they could be back in contention.
I could see him going after Chad Kelly as long as they don't have as long as they don't have a female trainer. I could see Chad Kelly going there and
Chad Kelly
signing
from
him.
the CFL. Put him in. He hasn't gotten in enough trouble.
He's
in the
suspended
CFL.
already, so he can play in the NFL.
We could swap. We could see how Chad Kelly does with actual competition. We'll see how it works, and not 5 teams from one from
Actually not
Saskatchewan.
bad.
Chad Kelly is pretty
Not
good
a
in
bad
the CFL,
quarterback.
but yeah, I think I don't see to get back. I don't think any regression is coming from the Packers. I think only a little progression, but like I said, I think you guys are sadly as close to a lock as possible in the NFC North. I've been saying it for a while. Watching the Lions last year. Everything, whatever, and it's weird because when you look at why Goff's succeeding in this system and why he didn't succeed in McVay's system, in McVay's system, it was really complicated. But your system is weird because it's everything is open, but it's not complicated.
You got one of the best offensive lines in football by far.
When you don't have much time to throw, he's definitely being set up to succeed, but he's hitting every throw. He's making the right reads. Sure, he's not great out of structure, but honestly, he doesn't have to be with this team. And
Penny Sewell was the best draft pick you guys ever had.
Yeah.
That was one of the smartest picks you guys have ever drafted.
I loved that pick. Bengals were supposed to take him too, and they took Chase, and that's what fell in your lap. But you guys are one of the best teams in the NFC now. You guys, it's you and the Niners to me. I think you guys are better than us. Just watching you against us, obviously,
that had to be hard to say.
No, it's not. But obviously, you guys should have beat us. I do agree. Well, we should have beat you first because there's a ghost tripping call for some reason when Aiden Hutchinson tripped us. But we won't. We've already done that, me and you. We can argue with that another time. But I think it's you guys and the Niners. And like I said, I was watching you guys against the Niners. You guys were up 17. I fell asleep and you guys were losing. So you guys were really close to making it to the Super Bowl, which would have broken me, by the way, because you don't deserve it more than I do. So,
No,
you do not deserve it more than I do whatsoever. I deserve it more than any one of our friends. So, but you guys were very close, and I don't know. I could see you guys being the Niners. I don't see us beating the Niners. I don't see the Eagles being the Niners. I could see you guys being the Niners. So,
I definitely see a world where this team goes all the way. I mean, last year, the glaring issue, it was defense. I mean, we had the third-ranked run defense, but obviously that credits to our awful pass defense.
Yeah.
But
because you guys were always in the lead too, so teams are throwing more, right?
Yeah, and that I know our GM just took one look at that game and said, "I'm never seeing that again." And I think our secondary this year, it's going to be good. Our safeties have really broken out. Arnold or Rakestraw, like one of them will probably end up not panning out or being like a consistent starter, but I think this team is one of the more complete rosters.
Arnold will pan out.
He's very good.
He'll pan out. I can't believe he fell.
I think he's incredible. I think he's one of those guys. Some people just have it, and he's got the personality to be a corner. Because
I thought he was top 15, top 10, maybe.
We also thought Okuda couldn't fail either, and you took him at 3. And
that's not the Campbell era, so we don't.
But I do see you guys being good this year. I'm rooting. It's weird. I'm rooting for the Lions, but I'm not rooting for you. But it's hard because it goes hand in hand. So I kind of have to root for you a little bit. I like Campbell as much as I think he lost to the NFC Championship by himself. But I do like Campbell.
We're not getting that today.
If you kick those field goals, you're probably in overtime with Mahomes. But no, I can see you guys doing well. I kind of hope you do well because I think Bubba's worse than you when it comes to running their mouth. So I'm kind of rooting for you a little bit.
Yeah, I got to stop being so humble. I got to start rubbing it in, honestly.
Yeah, being so humble. You guys were like 2-6 one year, and you said you guys could make the playoffs. But that's for another time. Thank you for coming on, Nate. Thanks for talking live.
Thanks, guys.
You did great. And
good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Say hi to your parents.
Everybody's going good. How's it going over there?
Everything's good here. Say hi to everybody.
Well, do the same for me. Have a good one,
Go
guys.
Knicks.
Don't forget to share the trash talking with all your friends.
Yeah.
Always. Have a good one, guys.
All right, that was a good conversation. It's good to have one of the buddies on because we've been trash talking for 10 years actually. So we've been doing this for a while. So thank you for listening to episode 13. But we'll have a lot of basketball next week. The conference finals started last night, and it's going to be 2 fun series. So what do you got to say? You got Antonio Brown on your mind, I heard.
Well, I heard Antonio Brown's in need of some money right away. The only thing I can think of for him to make money in a pinch is if he calls Shohei Ohtani and be his interpreter for a few weeks, he can make some real money and maybe get out of debt and get out of bankruptcy.
Jail now.
Pepe's in jail.
I think he might be in jail.
For 5 to 3
No, but Antonio Brown could be Ohtani's interpreter. You get his debit card, you speak for him, and then you get his debit card.
Something tells me the assets are frozen now, though. Something tells me they're not just out there.
Antonio can look anyway. For a guy,
anyone can. Antonio.
For a guy that was cutting up Caitlin Clark, it looks good on Antonio Brown.
I'm very, you know what? I don't like Antonio Brown at all. I don't know what happened to Antonio Brown. Vontaze Burfict destroyed that person. I can't. Yeah, that's a sad moment actually in NFL history. They'll look back on that and look at how they changed a human being's life because of a dirty hit. But it is nice kind of seeing Antonio Brown fail after all the people he's made fun of, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 13 of Trash Talking.
I'm Reg.
I'm E. We'll see you next week with some basketball.